So this woman made a post and she said, "Oh, something I am not afraid to admit as a black woman." Now immediately my radars went off. I said, "Huh? Black? Like where or not whatever, right? Like he, but whatever." So then she goes on to say that being biracial still means that she is black. Okay. Now my question is this: could she have made this post but replaced black with white? Could she have said something I'm not afraid to admit as a white woman? Being biracial still means that I'm a white woman. Could she have done that? I really don't think so. So it makes me wonder, why can she do it in reverse? I make the same videos day after day after day after day. And I swear to God, you don't come across biracials who have two healthy, loving sides of the family and only identify as one of their halves, right? Like, if you come across a biracial who grew up with both sides of their family, the white side was healthy and the black side was healthy, then they're not going to call themselves black. They're not going to call themselves white, right? That doesn't happen, right? It's only when you come across these biracials who, like, a lot of them don't know their black side, you know what I'm saying? Or a lot of times their white side is racist, right? That's when they sit around talking about they're black. That's the only time. When they have healthy sides of the family with both sides being healthy, they don't call themselves black. They call themselves biracial. Whenever you see biracials claiming to be black, it's 99% of the time because they white half is racist. So they white half is like, oh, like you're the child of a black person. Oh, you're black, so and so and so, calling them the N-word and stuff. That's the case 99% of the time. 1% of the time they grew up around the black half and not the white half. So they think that growing up within one half of their culture makes them that thing and just cancels out the other half. But no, 99% of the time is because they white half is racist. But again, you never come across a biracial who has two healthy sides of the family, but is out here calling themselves black. Whenever they have two healthy sides of the family, they acknowledge that they are biracial. It confuses me to no end when the child of a white person calls themselves black. That's just oxymoronic. There's no way you're the child of a white person, but you're black. It's just not happening, right? And it's so funny because biracials call themselves black, and honestly, a lot of other people call them black too. Like, a lot of black people call biracials black, a lot of white people call biracials black, right? And it's funny because I'll counter this by calling them white, right? So, like, I'll comment under their post and be like, "Thank you, white woman, like, thank you for defending us black people," whatever, right? And somebody be like, "They have a black parent, how are they white?" And I'll say, "They have a white parent, how are they black?" And, like, I can never get a straight response from that because your logic is having a black parent makes you black. Okay, so I'm gonna use your exact same logic in reverse. Having a white parent makes you white then, right? So as soon as I respond that, they say, "Well, Doc Diggity, they're biracial, so they're black and they're white. So why did you just call them a black person? If they're biracial, which means they're black and they're white, why did you just call them a black person?" And then when I called them a white person, you stopped me in my tracks though, right? So clearly it's not about them being black and white at the same time. Because if it was, then you wouldn't have had nothing to say about me calling them white the same way you called them black, right? It's about the fact that you're forcing them into blackness because of this perverted idea that blackness is dirty. If you have any black in you, you cannot be white. That goes back to the one drop rule that I hate in my life. Oh my God, y'all know my arch nemesis is the one drop rule. But let's go back to where this actually comes from. Let's go back a couple hundred years to slavery. When slavery first began, there was only two groups of people. There was white enslavers and black enslaved people, right? But that quickly changed because white men are, baby, they're one step above an animal. All of that hatred and rage and aggression in them, Chile, I'm scared, okay? So white men were raping enslaved black women left and right, and the result of that was biracial children, right? So when these biracial children were born, well, they said, "Well, I'm not black, so I shouldn't be a slave." And I'm not mad at that because, baby, if I was biracial, I'd have used the same line. I'd have been like, "Hold up, I have a white parent. I should not be a slave." Because who wants to be enslaved? Nobody wants to be enslaved, duh, right? So I'm not mad at that at all, right? So they said, "Well, I'm not black, so I should not be a slave." And white people came up with this one drop rule. They said, "Well, blackness is so dirty and inferior and disgusting that a drop of black makes you black. Therefore, you got a drop of it in you, you're black, the end," right? So this one drop rule, this considering biracials as black, has never been anything that is a compliment to black people, right? And it's crazy because black people have tried to turn it into that, right? So they'll be like, "Oh yeah, black is the dominant gene, so and so and so. What school taught you that, goofball? Bitch, that's not a fucking thing. Like that's not a fucking thing. You bitches learn enough about genetics to learn about a Punnett square and some fucking pea pods. Well, golly gee, these pea pods were green after one generation. So, wow, I guess blackness is the dominant gene. That's not what's happening here, okay? So y'all have tried to turn this one drop rule into something that is, a positive. You tried to spin it into something that it never was. It ain't never gonna be. The one drop rule is an insult. This concept of somebody not being good enough to be white, so they're automatically forced onto black people if they even have a drop of black in them. Like the Plessy versus Ferguson case was a literal white man. He was an octoroon, okay? Like he was 7/8 white and 1/8 black. And he was forced to sit in the black car because of this one drop rule. Like literally. And it's crazy to me how black people today try to turn this into something positive about us. Oh yeah, like a drop of black make you black because black need the supreme so-and-so. That's, first of all, that's not how genetics work. That's just not it, okay? And then again, that's not where this rule came from. That's never what it's been about. You let white people force their kids and even whiter folks onto you because they view blackness as so inferior, and you figure the best way to come to terms with it is to try to delude yourself into believing that it's some sort of a fucking compliment. These people are not complimenting you when they engage in this. I wish more people were comfortable living in reality, because this is not even unique to black people and the one drop rule and all of this stuff, right? People in general have a tendency to just ignore things that they don't want to think about. If it's uncomfortable to them, they're going to be like, I'm just not going to acknowledge that. I'm going to pretend that it doesn't exist, right? I'm just going to ignore it. And that's that mentality that you see with black people with this topic. You are scared to think about why it is you're sitting here pretending that a biracial is black, because the answer is not going to be a favorable one. The answer is going to be either A, white people told you they're black and you obeyed them because you're scared to stand up against them, or B, you hate actual blackness, so you're more comfortable pretending that somebody who is half white and looks it is a black person because that's what you wish blackness looked like, or C, whatever, right? The answer is not going to be a favorable one. There's no way in hell that you are happy with being black, but you sit here and pretend that the children of white people are black and that they represent you. There's no way. And a lot of black people are scared to confront that idea. I'm sorry to be the one to say this, but a lot of black people don't actually like the way that black people look. A lot of black people have inferiority complexes. I'm sure you've heard dark-skinned black people darker than me, mind you, right? Talking about they want light-skinned kids. I'm sure you've heard black people with kinky hair talking about, oh, they want their kids to have good hair and so and so and so, right? A lot of black people cannot stand the way that blackness actually looks. And it's not surprising because we live in a white supremacist world, right? And we are unique in the sense that we are the exact opposite of white people. Because other races, yeah, they have differences from white people, but they also have a lot of similarities. Like East Asians, they damn near white people. I'm sorry to say this. Like, they have more similarities with white people phenotypically than they have differences, okay? So black people are in this unique area because everything about us is the exact opposite of whiteness. So white supremacy and these Eurocentric standards of beauty affect black people in a way that they don't affect other groups of people, right? Like other races, some of this white supremacy actually benefits them, honestly, right? So you end up with a lot of black people who cannot stand the way that blackness looks, and they cope with it by pretending that the children of white people are black because it makes them feel better to say, yeah, blackness is light skin and loose hair and so and so and so, a bunch of stuff that blackness actually is not, because that's what they wish blackness was. It makes them feel better about it, and they're really, really against admitting that. Very rarely will you come across one of these people who acknowledges that, but that's what's going on here.